AudioBooksTube is glad to produce, publish, and offer The Art of Persuasion, Master Communication and Influence Anyone by Sage D. Esotreasure. Have you ever wondered why certain people seem to naturally influence others without much effort? The audiobook The Art of Persuasion uncovers the secrets to mastering the art of communication and wielding influence over anyone. You'll learn how to establish credibility, cultivate emotional intelligence, and overcome resistance. By learning these essential skills, you can transform both your personal and professional life. Without them, you risk missed opportunities and stagnant progress in an increasingly competitive world. Now is the time to unlock your persuasive potential and achieve the success you deserve. In a world where ideas constantly compete for attention and decisions shape every aspect of our lives, persuasion is nothing short of a superpower. Imagine the ability to articulate your thoughts so clearly and compellingly that others naturally gravitate toward your perspective. Picture yourself navigating complex negotiations with ease, inspiring teams to accomplish the seemingly impossible, or simply convincing a friend to try that new restaurant you've been raving about. Persuasion has transformative power, and it's a skill we all possess but often leave dormant. The art of persuasion is not limited to those born with a silver tongue. It is a learnable and practicable skill that can be mastered with dedication. This book will guide you in unlocking that potential, offering a structured path to becoming a master of influence in both your personal and professional life. As you embark on this journey, you may wonder how far you can realistically go by the time you finish reading. First and foremost, you'll gain a solid understanding of the fundamental principles that underpin persuasion. These are not gimmicks or tricks but core concepts rooted in psychology and communication theory. You'll begin to see the role persuasion plays in your daily interactions, whether in casual conversations or high-stakes presentations. More importantly, you'll start applying basic persuasive techniques ethically in your own life. This isn't about manipulating others to bend to your will. Rather, it's about effectively communicating your ideas, connecting with others on a deeper level, and finding mutually beneficial outcomes in your interactions. However, this is only the beginning. If you continue practicing these principles, the long-term benefits will be remarkable. Over time, you can develop mastery over advanced persuasive techniques, allowing you to handle even the most difficult communication challenges with confidence and skill. Your personal and professional relationships will grow stronger as you become more adept at understanding others' viewpoints while articulating your own clearly. Perhaps the most significant advantage will be your ability to influence others effectively and ethically. This does not simply mean getting your way, but doing so in a way that respects the autonomy of others and builds trust. It's about fostering genuine connections and creating win-win situations. To achieve these outcomes, we'll explore several crucial areas. We'll dive into the psychology of influence, exploring why people make certain decisions and how you can ethically leverage these insights. You'll also improve your communication skills and emotional intelligence, learning how to read subtle cues and adjust your approach accordingly. Critical thinking will play a key role in constructing logical arguments and anticipating counterpoints, an essential skill for persuasive success. These steps are carefully arranged to build upon one another, creating a comprehensive framework for mastering persuasion. We start with foundational concepts to ensure you have a strong grasp of the underlying principles. From there, we progressively build more advanced skills, always focusing on practical applications. Ethical considerations are woven throughout, ensuring that as you become more persuasive, you also become more responsible in wielding that influence. Now let's take a closer look at the true power of persuasion. At its core, persuasion is about creating change in thoughts, feelings, or actions. It is a force that shapes our world, influencing everything from political movements to technological innovations and social reforms. Persuasion is not just for global or historical events. It's a part of our daily lives, often in ways we don't recognize. When you recommend a movie to a friend or negotiate a salary at work, you are using persuasion. Even something as small as deciding where to go for dinner involves persuasive elements. Recognizing the presence of persuasion in everyday life is the first step to harnessing its power. Once you understand that it is everywhere, you can approach these moments with intention, using the techniques you'll learn in this book to create better outcomes for everyone involved. A critical element of mastering persuasion is developing the right mindset. This is where Carol Dweck's concept of the growth mindset becomes invaluable. Dweck's research shows that people who believe their abilities can be improved through effort and hard work, those with a growth mindset, are more likely to succeed than those who see their talents as fixed. In the context of persuasion, this means embracing the idea that your ability to influence others is not fixed at birth. It's not about being born charismatic or having an innate gift for communication. Instead, it's about committing to learning and improving. Every interaction is an opportunity to practice, refine your skills, and learn from both successes and failures. This growth mindset is especially important when dealing with challenges or setbacks in your persuasive efforts. Rather than viewing failed attempts as evidence of your limitations, you'll see them as valuable feedback, an opportunity to adjust your approach and try again. Part of adopting a growth mindset involves overcoming limiting beliefs that may be holding you back. Perhaps you've always seen yourself as bad at public speaking or not a people person. These self-imposed labels can become self-fulfilling prophecies, limiting your potential for growth before you've even started. By challenging these beliefs and adopting a mindset focused on improvement, you open yourself up to a world of possibilities. As we explore persuasion, it's essential to address its ethical dimensions. There is a fine line between persuasion and manipulation, and we must be careful not to cross it. Persuasion at its best is about presenting ideas clearly and compellingly, allowing others to make informed decisions. Manipulation, however, involves deceiving or coercing people to achieve your goals at their expense. Ethical persuasion is based on honesty and transparency. It's about fostering mutual respect and trust, not taking advantage of others for personal gain. As you become more skilled in influencing others, it's crucial to keep this distinction in mind. When used ethically, persuasion is a powerful tool that can lead to positive, meaningful change for everyone involved. By the time you finish this journey, you will have the tools to influence others effectively and ethically. You'll become more skilled at understanding people's perspectives, communicating your ideas, and navigating challenges with confidence. Whether in your career, personal life, or broader social interactions, mastering the art of persuasion will help you achieve your goals and build stronger, more meaningful connections along the way. Ever pondered why some ideas catch fire and spread effortlessly while others fade into obscurity? Or perhaps you've noticed how certain individuals have an almost magical ability to sway opinions and ignite action. The answer lies in the profound art of persuasion, a timeless skill that has shaped human interaction since civilization began. Understanding persuasion goes far beyond simple tricks or techniques. It's about diving deep into human decision-making and recognizing the unseen forces that guide choices. By mastering these core principles, you'll not only improve your persuasive ability but also gain a richer understanding of the human mind. Persuasion is a powerful tool, especially in today's world where information constantly bombards us, and ideas endlessly compete for attention. Whether you're a business leader trying to inspire your team, a community organizer aiming to rally support for a cause, or someone simply wanting to enhance personal relationships, knowing how to communicate effectively and influence others ethically is invaluable. However, persuasion is no modern invention. Its roots stretch deep into history, with ancient Greek philosophers like Aristotle pondering the art of rhetoric. Their theories still influence how we think about persuasion today. Surprisingly, many of the techniques we consider cutting-edge actually trace their origins back to classical thinking. As human society evolved, so did the methods of persuasion. The rise of mass media in the 20th century transformed how ideas spread, opening new avenues for influence. Today, the digital age has added another dimension. Social media, targeted advertising, and big data provide unprecedented opportunities for persuasion, but also present new ethical challenges. But what makes something persuasive? Why do we find certain arguments compelling while others fall flat? To answer these questions, we need to explore the psychological foundations of persuasion. One of the most influential models comes from psychologist Robert Cialdini. Through his research, Cialdini identified 6 key principles that shape human behavior in the context of influence. These principles act as hidden levers in the mind, each capable of tipping the balance in decision-making when activated. The first of these principles is reciprocity, a simple but powerful concept. We are wired to return favors and treat others as they treat us. This instinct has been ingrained in human societies for millennia, fostering cooperation and mutual benefit. In the world of persuasion, understanding reciprocity can be a game changer. But this is only the beginning. Reciprocity is just one of 6 principles. As we delve further, we'll explore other persuasive forces such as commitment and consistency, social proof, authority, liking, and scarcity. These principles form a comprehensive toolkit for ethical persuasion, and learning to apply them wisely can revolutionize how you interact with others. It's important to remember, though, that these are not manipulative tactics. They are grounded in fundamental aspects of human psychology, and using them ethically requires a nuanced understanding of their implications. Our journey into persuasion will also take us into the fascinating realm of cognitive biases. These biases are mental shortcuts that humans rely on, often leading us to make irrational decisions. By understanding these biases, you'll gain insight into why people sometimes act in ways that seem illogical or counterintuitive. For instance, you might wonder why individuals cling to their initial choices even when faced with contradictory evidence, or why we tend to give more weight to information that aligns with our existing beliefs. The allure of these psychological tendencies isn't to exploit them but to understand and respect them, ensuring that when you engage in persuasive communication, you do so ethically and with integrity. Now, why is ethical persuasion so critical? It's not just about doing the right thing, it's also far more effective in the long run. Trust is the cornerstone of persuasion. Once trust is broken, it's incredibly hard to rebuild. By committing to influencing others ethically, you'll build a reputation for integrity, which over time will significantly enhance your persuasive abilities. As we venture further into this book, take a moment to reflect on your personal objectives. What specific areas of your life do you hope to improve through better persuasion skills? Are you seeking career advancement, better relationships, or perhaps aiming to lead your community more effectively? Write these goals down, as they will serve as guideposts throughout this journey. It's important to remember that mastering persuasion is not a destination, it's a journey. The skills you develop will not remain static, they require continuous practice and refinement. As you progress, you'll encounter new challenges and opportunities where your persuasive abilities will be put to the test in increasingly complex situations. The chapters ahead will equip you with the essential tools needed for influence, ranging from building credibility and emotional intelligence to overcoming resistance and leading with impact. Each chapter builds upon the previous one, offering you a comprehensive framework for mastering persuasion. As we explore the foundations of human decision-making, you'll gain insights into how our minds process information and make choices. These hidden forces at play in our daily lives are the key to unlocking advanced persuasive techniques. From there, we'll move into the ethical dimensions of persuasion, ensuring that as your skills grow, so too does your commitment to honesty and transparency. To assist in your journey, we've included a free bundle, an ebook version of this book along with an executive summary of all the chapters. Studies show that engaging with content through multiple formats improves both learning and retention. Download it now to enhance your learning experience. Understanding persuasion is a journey of discovery, not just about improving your ability to influence others, but also about deepening your understanding of human behavior. Through the principles we'll explore, and with consistent practice, you can unlock new levels of influence in all areas of your life, without sacrificing your ethics or integrity. Trust in the process, and embrace each opportunity to learn from your experiences, both successful and not. By the end of this journey, you will be armed with the tools to influence effectively and ethically. You'll develop the ability to read people, anticipate their needs, and adapt your communication style to create mutually beneficial outcomes. Whether it's in your career, your relationships, or broader social interactions, mastering the art of persuasion will help you achieve your goals while building stronger, more meaningful connections with those around you. When we explore the intricate world of persuasion, we often stumble upon two essential concepts: cognitive biases and heuristics. These mental processes are pivotal in shaping human decisions, often determining how we react, evaluate, and ultimately choose. But while cognitive biases and heuristics help us navigate complex situations quickly, they also have their limitations. Understanding both their usefulness and their potential to mislead is key to becoming an effective persuader. Cognitive biases are automatic, often unconscious patterns of thought that cause people to make illogical or flawed decisions. For example, confirmation bias, our tendency to favor information that confirms our pre-existing beliefs, is a common bias that frequently plays a role in the persuasion process. On the other hand, heuristics are mental shortcuts or rules of thumb that help us make decisions quickly, especially in high-stakes or overwhelming situations. These are not inherently bad. They allow us to cope with the barrage of information that surrounds us daily. However, they can also steer us in the wrong direction if we don't recognize when they apply and when they don't. Effective persuasion hinges on a delicate balance. It's not about manipulating these biases and shortcuts for personal gain. Rather, it's about aligning your communication with how the human brain naturally processes information. Presenting a message in a way that resonates with the audience's decision-making tendencies, without exploiting their mental shortcuts, can make a world of difference. Persuasion is far more than the words you speak. It's rooted in an understanding of timing, context, and the psychology of decision-making. But to truly master persuasion, we must transition from theory into practice. Practical exercises, like identifying persuasive techniques in everyday media or analyzing advertisements and speeches, are essential. By dissecting these real-world examples, you sharpen your ability to detect influence attempts, and in turn, become more effective in crafting your own messages. Practicing persuasion isn't just about fine-tuning your arguments. It's about engaging with your audience in an ethical and respectful way. This is where the art of tailoring your message comes in. Persuasion is not one size fits all. Being able to adapt your communication style to fit the needs, values, and motivations of different people is a skill that must be developed over time. It's about understanding what works in a given moment, recognizing subtle cues, and adjusting your approach accordingly. Timing and context are crucial in persuasion. The same argument presented at the wrong time can fall flat, while a well-timed message can lead to breakthroughs. Understanding the psychological state of your audience, their current needs, and the environment in which you're communicating all contribute to the success or failure of your persuasive efforts. Of course, persuasion isn't always easy. It comes with challenges. One of the biggest pitfalls when learning the art of persuasion is overcomplicating your message. In the excitement of applying newly learned techniques, it's easy to lose sight of clarity, bombarding your audience with too much information or trying to fit in every strategy at once. In doing so, the core message can become diluted. Simplicity, while maintaining persuasive power, is key. Equally important is staying attuned to your audience's reactions. Persuasion is a two-way street, and if you're too focused on delivering a perfect argument, you might miss the subtle shifts in body language or tone that indicate how your message is being received. Persuasion isn't about talking at someone, it's about engaging with them, listening, and responding to their needs in real time. Ethical considerations are the backbone of all persuasive efforts. While learning the principles of influence can give you significant power, With that power comes the responsibility to use it wisely. It's all too easy to fall into manipulative tactics when you're fixated on achieving a certain outcome. That's why, throughout your journey into persuasion, it's essential to consistently reflect on whether your actions are aligned with your moral values and whether you're respecting the autonomy of your audience. With each principle of persuasion you practice, your communication skills will naturally improve. You'll start to notice how these principles influence your everyday interactions, whether in a casual conversation with a friend, during a work meeting, or while listening to a political debate. The simple awareness of these mechanisms can shift your perspective and elevate your communication style. Mastering ethical persuasion opens new doors in both personal and professional life. For those willing to commit to ongoing practice, the possibilities are endless. Ethical persuasion enables you to become a more effective leader, navigate challenging negotiations, resolve conflicts with ease, and inspire meaningful change. Whether you're managing a team, advocating for a cause, or simply trying to deepen your relationships, the ability to influence others while maintaining your integrity is a powerful asset. The road to mastering persuasion is a continuous journey of learning, applying, and reflecting. Each interaction, whether successful or not, is an opportunity to refine your approach. Challenges will arise, but through consistent practice and ethical commitment, you will hone your persuasive abilities to achieve remarkable outcomes. Beyond the principles of persuasion, another crucial element to consider is credibility. Imagine listening to two people discuss the same topic. One speaks with authority and has a track record of success in the field. The other seems less certain, lacking experience or depth in the subject matter. Whose advice would you follow? Most of us would naturally gravitate toward the individual who exudes confidence and expertise. This quality, credibility, serves as the foundation for all persuasive efforts. Credibility isn't just about what you say, it's about who you are. It's the belief that you're trustworthy, knowledgeable, and have your audience's best interests in mind. When your audience perceives you as credible, they are more likely to listen, trust, and act on your words. In contrast, without credibility, even the most well-crafted arguments can fall flat. Building credibility takes time and effort. It requires consistency, integrity, and competence. When people trust you, they're more willing to share their thoughts and concerns, fostering open communication. This two-way dialogue is vital in persuasion, as it allows you to tailor your message to your audience's specific needs. Credibility isn't just an external factor, it's also internal. When you know that you're credible, when you're confident in your knowledge and integrity, that self-assurance shines through in your communication. This confidence reinforces your message and strengthens your persuasive impact. Ultimately, credibility amplifies the power of your words, turning mere suggestions into actionable imperatives. It fosters deeper connections with your audience, creating the foundation for lasting influence and meaningful change. Persuasion is an art that relies heavily on how we convey our messages, But one of the most vital elements that often underpins this process is credibility. Whether it's through spoken words, body language, or the reputation we cultivate, credibility is a powerful force that can elevate someone from being just another voice in the crowd to a true thought leader. But how does one build such credibility? And what are the steps to create a trustworthy and influential presence? The journey to building credibility begins with understanding its core components: expertise, character, integrity, and personal presence. Expertise is where many start, and it's true that in any field, knowledge is key. However, expertise isn't simply about hoarding facts or spitting out data. It's about demonstrating your understanding in meaningful ways that resonate with your audience. This means simplifying complex concepts so others can grasp them easily and applying your knowledge to solve real-world problems. Expertise is a dynamic attribute that requires a commitment to continuous learning. Whether it's through attending industry conferences, reading widely, or engaging with peers in discussions, staying informed of the latest trends and developments is crucial. The more you immerse yourself in your subject matter, the more confident you'll become, and that confidence will naturally be reflected in your communication. Yet, being knowledgeable alone is not enough. Credibility also heavily rests on character and integrity. For your audience to believe in you, they must trust your intentions and values. This is where aligning your actions with your words becomes vital. Trust is built through consistency, doing what you say and following through with your promises. If your actions don't align with your words, you risk eroding that trust, no matter how knowledgeable you may be. Ethical communication also plays a pivotal role. Be transparent and honest with your audience. Admitting when you don't know something or acknowledging a mistake builds more respect than trying to maintain a facade of perfection. Integrity is about being forthright and open, even when it's uncomfortable. People will always value honesty over the illusion of flawlessness. Next comes personal presence, an often underestimated but significant element of credibility. This is the image you project before you even begin to speak. Your body language, tone of voice, and overall demeanor set the stage for how people perceive you. Standing tall, making direct eye contact, and speaking with clarity are powerful nonverbal cues that help establish your credibility. These signals tell your audience that you are confident, assured, and prepared, qualities that naturally inspire trust. However, it's crucial to strike the right balance with confidence. While confidence boosts credibility, arrogance can quickly undermine it. True confidence is calm and self-assured. It doesn't need to boast or diminish others. Regularly practicing your delivery, whether for a presentation or casual conversation, can help you find this balance, making you more comfortable and natural in various communicative settings. One of the most powerful, yet often overlooked, tools in building credibility is social proof. This involves how others perceive you within your professional and personal circles. Building a positive reputation is a gradual process, but one that pays significant dividends. Every time you deliver on your promises, exceed expectations, or provide value in your interactions, you strengthen your reputation. Testimonials or endorsements from respected individuals or organizations further enhance your credibility, acting as third-party validation of your expertise and character. While positive endorsements can be helpful, it's important not to overdo it. A few well-placed, strong endorsements will carry far more weight than a laundry list of weaker recommendations. Carefully curated social proof can dramatically elevate your standing, reinforcing your credibility with your audience. Now that we've unpacked the key components of credibility, how do you apply this knowledge in practical ways? Start with self-assessment. Take a step back and critically evaluate your own credibility. What are your strengths? Where are your weaknesses? This type of honest introspection is crucial for growth. Rate yourself on factors such as your expertise, reliability, communication skills, and ethical standards. From there, identify concrete steps you can take to improve. Perhaps it's deepening your knowledge in a particular area or honing your public speaking skills. Role-playing exercises can also be incredibly effective. Practice delivering your ideas to a friend or colleague and ask for candid feedback on your body language, delivery, and clarity. The more you practice, the more natural and confident you'll become, which, in turn, enhances your credibility. This constant refinement of your approach will yield noticeable results over time. At the basic level, working on your credibility will improve your self-presentation and boost your confidence, which others will naturally pick up on. As this happens, you'll begin to gain recognition as someone trustworthy, and your opinions will carry more weight in larger circles. As people start to seek your input, you'll realize you're well on your way to mastering the art of persuasion. For those willing to go all in, the ultimate goal is to become an authority figure in your field. This is when your influence reaches its zenith, when people not only trust your opinion but look to you to shape their understanding of important topics. You won't just follow trends, you'll set them, becoming a thought leader who commands attention and inspires action. However, the road to building credibility isn't without its challenges. One common pitfall is inconsistency between your actions and your words. If people detect even a hint of hypocrisy, trust can quickly crumble. The remedy here is simple: always align your actions with your words. If you promise something, deliver. If you advocate for certain principles, live by them. Inconsistency is a credibility killer, but staying true to your word is one of the most powerful ways to build lasting trust. Another pitfall is overconfidence. While confidence is key to credibility, arrogance can quickly backfire. Stay humble and practice humility. A true expert understands the limits of their knowledge and is always open to learning from others. Admitting when you're wrong or unsure doesn't diminish your credibility, it enhances it. Finally, don't fall into the trap of neglecting how your audience perceives you. Credibility isn't just about how you see yourself, it's about how others see you. Regularly seek feedback from trusted sources and be open to constructive criticism. Using this feedback allows you to refine your approach and ensure that your message resonates in the most authentic and effective way possible. As you wrap up your exploration of credibility, remember that it is not a one-time achievement. Credibility must be continuously nurtured and maintained. It's an ongoing process, a fundamental quality that needs care and attention to thrive. But as essential as credibility is, it's only one piece of the persuasion puzzle. In the next step of your journey, you'll discover another layer of communication that transcends words and taps into a deeper, more powerful force. This is the force that turns mere agreement into passionate commitment and transforms interest into action. In human interactions, there is a subtle yet potent force that goes beyond logic and reason, tapping into the essence of what makes us human. This invisible force shapes our decisions, impacts relationships, and defines how we perceive the world. This is not about charisma or intelligence in a conventional sense, though both can be enhanced by it. Instead, we're talking about something far more fundamental to human connections. This is emotional intelligence, a skill that can be developed, sharpened, and wielded to significantly increase one's ability to persuade and influence others. At its core, emotional intelligence, EI, is the ability to recognize, understand, and manage our emotions while being attuned to the emotions of those around us. It's about using emotional awareness to guide behavior and thinking. In the context of persuasion, emotional intelligence is an indispensable tool. Why? Because while we may think of ourselves as rational beings, emotions often play a significant role in our decision-making processes. By leveraging emotional intelligence, we can forge stronger bonds, deepen connections, and ultimately become more influential in our interactions. Emotional intelligence enables us to create emotional connections, which are essential in influencing others. Logic alone rarely convinces. It's when we touch someone's emotions that we break down mental barriers and create alignment and understanding. Empathy, one of the most important components of emotional intelligence, plays a pivotal role in this process. When we put ourselves in another person's shoes and truly understand their feelings and perspectives, we create a bridge of trust. This trust forms the foundation for effective persuasion, making others more open and receptive to our ideas. Managing our emotions is equally important for enhancing the quality of our interactions. Staying calm under pressure, thinking before reacting, and maintaining a positive mindset create a productive communication environment. These actions make us more credible and persuasive, enabling us to engage others thoughtfully rather than reactively. To fully harness the power of emotional intelligence, we must first understand the nature of emotions and how they affect communication. Emotions are complex states that influence how we process information, interact with the world, and respond to others. They act as a filter through which we interpret ideas, giving weight to some concepts and diminishing the significance of others. By becoming aware of the emotional dimension of communication, we can learn to navigate it more effectively. The first step in this journey is emotional awareness, recognizing and understanding our emotional states and how they influence our thoughts and behaviors. Equally important is learning to read the emotional cues of others, including tone of voice, facial expressions, and body language. This awareness allows us to adjust our communication in real time, ensuring that we connect with others in meaningful ways. However, awareness alone is not enough. To truly master emotional intelligence, we must develop the ability to manage our emotions, especially in challenging situations. Self-management involves regulating our emotional responses, particularly when tensions run high. For instance, during a difficult negotiation, frustration can easily escalate, potentially damaging our position. But with strong self-management skills, we can recognize our emotional state, take a moment to pause, and choose a more constructive response. By doing so, we maintain control over the situation and preserve the possibility of a positive outcome. Stress management is another critical aspect of emotional regulation. In high-pressure situations, our ability to think clearly and communicate effectively can be compromised. Techniques such as deep breathing, mindfulness, or reframing negative thoughts help us manage stress, keeping us emotionally balanced and persuasive even when under duress. As we develop emotional intelligence, we also enhance our empathy and social awareness. This involves not just recognizing emotions in others, but also understanding their perspectives and experiences. It means accurately interpreting emotional cues and responding appropriately, fostering stronger connections. Cultural sensitivity is a key aspect of social awareness since emotional expression varies across cultures. By developing both cultural and emotional intelligence, we can navigate diverse social environments with greater effectiveness and ease. All of these skills come together in the realm of relationship management, where emotional intelligence truly shines in the context of persuasion. Building strong, trusting relationships is the foundation of influence. By connecting deeply with others, we create a sense of loyalty and understanding that makes persuasion more natural and effective. An essential aspect of relationship management is conflict resolution. Disagreements are inevitable in any human interaction, but emotional intelligence helps us navigate these conflicts constructively. With high emotional intelligence, we can find win-win solutions that strengthen relationships instead of damaging them. Managing conflict effectively enhances trust and deepens connections, paving the way for more productive and harmonious relationships. To leverage emotions effectively in persuasion, emotional appeals are a powerful technique. This doesn't mean manipulating others' emotions, but rather connecting our message to emotions that motivate action. For example, linking ideas to feelings like hope, excitement, or security can make a message more compelling and influential. Emotional appeals create resonance, driving people to take action because the message aligns with their emotional needs and desires. Motivating others through emotion is another crucial skill. By understanding what drives people emotionally, whether it's their fears, aspirations, or values, we can frame our ideas in ways that resonate on a deeper level. This emotional resonance often carries far more persuasive power than logical arguments alone. To build emotional intelligence, regular practice is key. Journaling is one practical exercise that promotes self-awareness. By reflecting on our emotional experiences and analyzing our responses, we can recognize patterns and gain insights into our emotional triggers. This self-reflection helps us understand how our emotions influence our behaviors, allowing us to make more conscious, constructive choices in future interactions. Active listening is another essential practice for developing emotional intelligence. By fully engaging with others when they speak, not just hearing their words but understanding the emotions behind them, we become more attuned to their needs and perspectives. This deep listening fosters empathy and strengthens our emotional connection with others, making persuasion more natural and effective. In conclusion, emotional intelligence is a skill that goes beyond logic, reaching into the emotional core of human interactions. By mastering this ability, we can enhance our persuasive power, create deeper connections, and influence others in ways that logic alone could never achieve. Through continuous self-awareness, emotional regulation, empathy, and relationship management, emotional intelligence becomes a superpower in the art of persuasion. The concept of emotional intelligence, EI, goes beyond simple awareness and control of emotions. It extends into a profound skill set that can dramatically improve our social interactions, personal relationships, and professional success. While many consider emotional intelligence as merely being in touch with feelings, it is much more. It involves mastering our emotions and leveraging this understanding to connect more deeply with others. Emotional intelligence involves two fundamental areas: understanding our own emotional state and recognizing the emotions of others. It is about deciphering the emotional subtext behind words, gestures, and actions. Mastering this requires an elevated level of attention, where conversations are more than exchanges of words but also of feelings and experiences. Practicing this awareness in daily interactions involves active listening, not just hearing but truly focusing on what the other person is saying, asking thoughtful questions, and responding empathetically. Through this effort, we strengthen our ability to connect and influence others. With practice, we can experience a remarkable progression of emotional intelligence outcomes. The first noticeable change is heightened emotional awareness. We become attuned to our own emotional responses, better understanding their origins and effects. Simultaneously, we start recognizing the emotions of those around us, allowing us to respond more empathetically and with greater understanding. As we continue refining our emotional intelligence, we naturally begin building stronger connections with others. Empathy allows us to understand not just the words spoken but the emotions and intentions behind them. This deepened understanding helps us navigate social situations more skillfully, strengthening our relationships and making us more effective in all areas of life. For those who commit to fully developing emotional intelligence, mastery awaits. At this level, we become experts in leveraging emotions to persuade, motivate, and influence others. This mastery is not manipulative but rather rooted in a genuine understanding of human emotions, creating a deeper connection with those around us. However, the path to emotional intelligence is not without challenges. One common pitfall is misreading others' emotions, leading to miscommunication and misunderstanding. The key to avoiding this is to clarify rather than assume. Ask questions to confirm emotional states instead of jumping to conclusions. This approach fosters stronger communication and ensures that your message resonates clearly with your audience. Another potential issue is emotional overload. As we strive to become more emotionally aware, the intensity of our own and others' emotions can sometimes feel overwhelming. The solution lies in self-regulation, learning techniques to maintain emotional balance in highly charged situations. Whether through mindfulness, deep breathing, or reframing negative thoughts, regulating our emotions ensures that we remain calm and collected, even in difficult moments. While emotional intelligence is a powerful tool, it's essential to strike a balance between emotion and logic. While emotions significantly influence our decisions, they should not dominate the conversation. Persuasion works best when emotional appeals are backed by solid logic and reasoning, creating a well-rounded and compelling message that resonates on multiple levels. As we gain a deeper understanding of emotional intelligence, it becomes clear that emotions shape our interactions in profound ways. Developing this skill is not just about controlling feelings, but about using emotional awareness to enhance communication and influence. Emotional intelligence is a valuable asset, but it's just one piece of the persuasion puzzle. Next, we'll explore how effective communication can amplify persuasive efforts, turning a flood of disjointed ideas into a powerful, coherent message. Effective communication is an art form that can captivate an audience and inspire action. It is a foundational skill that transforms our thoughts into compelling messages that resonate with others. Have you ever noticed how some individuals seem to effortlessly hold the attention of an entire room while others struggle to communicate their points? Or why a simple idea can be understood in vastly different ways by different people? The answer lies in how we communicate. We've been communicating since infancy, but effective communication is not a skill that everyone fully masters. It goes beyond words, encompassing the intricate interplay between verbal and nonverbal elements. When done well, communication becomes a bridge that links our inner world to the external realm of action and influence. Effective communication is essential for persuasion because, without it, even the most brilliant ideas can be lost in translation. You might have a flawless argument, but if you cannot articulate it clearly, it won't make the impact you desire. The power of persuasion is deeply rooted in the clarity of communication, ensuring that your message is understood exactly as intended. When communicated effectively, Ideas are not only heard but internalized and acted upon by your audience. But effective communication is not solely about speaking well, it also involves listening deeply. By understanding others' perspectives, needs, and motivations, we gain valuable insights that can be used to refine our message and make it more persuasive. Listening fosters connection and provides the tools necessary to tailor your approach to achieve maximum impact. Adaptability is another crucial aspect of communication. Different settings, audiences, and cultural backgrounds require different communication styles. What resonates in a formal presentation may fall flat in a casual conversation. Similarly, what works in one cultural context might be misinterpreted in another. Mastering the ability to adjust your communication style allows you to be more effective across various environments. At its core, communication is about transferring information from a sender to a receiver, but this seemingly simple process is fraught with potential obstacles. The Shannon-Weaver model of communication breaks it down into essential elements: the sender, the message, the channel, the receiver, and the potential noise that can interfere. Barriers such as distance, jargon, emotional states, or preconceived notions can distort the message and hinder effective communication. In face-to-face interactions, verbal communication is only part of the message. Research by Albert Mehrabian suggests that only 7% of a message is conveyed through words. The remaining 93% comes from vocal tone, 38%, and body language, 55%. This underscores the critical importance of nonverbal communication. Our gestures, facial expressions, and even posture communicate volumes. When it comes to verbal communication, clarity and conciseness are paramount. Your message should be straightforward and easy to understand, avoiding unnecessary jargon or overly complex language. Furthermore, the tone of your voice can convey confidence, sincerity, or enthusiasm, which can significantly influence how your message is received. Paying attention to your vocal inflections and pace ensures that your message remains engaging and impactful. In conclusion, both emotional intelligence and effective communication are indispensable tools in the art of persuasion. By developing emotional intelligence, we gain a deeper understanding of how emotions shape interactions and influence decisions. Combined with clear and adaptable communication, these skills enable us to connect with others in meaningful ways, amplifying our ability to persuade, inspire, and lead. In today's fast-paced world, emotional intelligence, EI, is more than just a buzzword. It's a fundamental aspect of how we interact with others, influencing everything from personal relationships to professional achievements. Emotional intelligence, when nurtured, becomes a vital tool in developing better communication, enhancing connections, and influencing others effectively. At its core, EI involves recognizing and understanding not only our own emotions but also those of others. This goes beyond merely hearing the words someone speaks. It requires tuning into their emotional undertones, body language, and facial expressions. By focusing on the emotional subtext, we build stronger, more empathetic connections. Actively listening, asking clarifying questions, and reflecting on what's being said can significantly improve how we engage in conversations. As you practice this skill, you'll notice an increase in your emotional awareness. You'll better understand your own feelings and reactions, making it easier to manage them. At the same time, you'll become more adept at reading the emotions of others, allowing you to respond appropriately. This progression leads to deeper empathy, helping you build rapport and navigate social situations with ease. If you're enjoying this audiobook and finding value in the content, we kindly ask you to take a moment to subscribe to the channel. A large portion of our listeners and viewers haven't subscribed yet, and by doing so, you'll help us grow and continue bringing you more high-quality audiobooks. Your support means a lot to us, and it's just one click away. So, go ahead and hit that subscribe button to stay connected and never miss out on our latest releases. For those who dedicate themselves to improving their emotional intelligence, the results can be transformative. When you fully understand and control your emotional responses, you can use this awareness to influence others more effectively. Emotions play a huge role in how people make decisions, so by tapping into this understanding, you can become more persuasive, motivate others, and foster lasting connections. Of course, the path to mastering the I is not without challenges. One common issue is misreading emotions. You might think someone is feeling one way when, in reality, they're experiencing something entirely different. The solution is to practice asking clarifying questions instead of assuming you know what they're feeling. This ensures that your interactions remain clear and productive. Another obstacle is emotional overload. When we become more attuned to emotions, whether our own or others, it can sometimes feel overwhelming. Self-regulation becomes crucial in these moments. Practicing mindfulness, meditation, or even deep breathing exercises can help you maintain balance and avoid being consumed by emotional intensity. Finally, while emotions are powerful, it's important not to over-rely on them. Balancing emotional appeals with logic is key to crafting persuasive arguments. Emotions can capture attention and create connections, but logic ensures that your message stands up to scrutiny. This balance is essential for delivering a compelling, well-rounded message. As you continue honing your emotional intelligence, you will begin to see its impact on your interactions, both personal and professional. However, emotional intelligence is just one facet of the broader skill set needed to master persuasion. The next crucial step in this journey is learning how to communicate effectively. Communication is the bedrock of human interaction, and when done well, it can be a powerful tool for influence. Think about those people who can capture the attention of a room with just a few words. What separates them from others who struggle to get their point across? The answer often lies in their communication skills. Effective communication is more than just speaking clearly, it's about ensuring that your message resonates with your audience. This requires a keen understanding of not just what you say, but how you say it. Nonverbal communication, such as body language, facial expressions, and eye contact, plays a critical role in how your message is received. Maintaining an open posture, using appropriate gestures, and making eye contact all help to reinforce your words, making them more impactful. Active listening is another crucial aspect of communication. It's not just about hearing the words someone says, but truly understanding their message. This involves giving them your full attention, noticing their body language, and providing feedback that confirms you've understood their point. Avoid the temptation to interrupt or start formulating your response while the other person is still talking. Instead, focus entirely on their words, ask clarifying questions, and paraphrase their statements to ensure you've fully grasped their meaning. The digital age has added new layers of complexity to communication. When interacting through written mediums, whether email, messaging apps, or social media, tone and intention can easily be misunderstood. Since nonverbal cues are absent in these forms, extra care must be taken to ensure that your words are clear and respectful. Understanding the nuances of different digital platforms is also key. A formal email requires a different tone than a casual chat message, and adapting your communication style to suit each medium will help you avoid miscommunication. Tailoring your message to your audience is another vital skill in effective communication. Understanding who you're speaking to, their background, knowledge level, interests, and concerns, allows you to customize your delivery in a way that maximizes impact. Whether you're speaking to a group of professionals or having a casual conversation with friends, adapting your tone and content ensures that your message is received as intended. Improving communication skills takes practice. Try recording yourself delivering a speech or presentation and then critically evaluate how you come across. Are you clear and concise? Is your body language helping or hindering your message? Exercises like this can provide valuable insights into areas where you can improve. Role-playing different communication scenarios can also be useful. By practicing how you would communicate in various situations, you become more adaptable and effective. As you refine your skills, you'll notice that your messages are clearer and more easily understood. With continued practice, you'll develop the ability to engage diverse audiences and adjust your communication style to suit different contexts. The ultimate goal is to achieve mastery in adaptable communication, being able to adjust effortlessly to any situation, thereby maximizing your persuasive power. Of course, even with the best communication skills, challenges can arise. Miscommunication happens, and when it does, the key is to clarify. If you're unsure whether your message has been understood, ask for feedback. Similarly, if you don't understand what someone else is saying, don't hesitate to seek clarification. This not only ensures clear communication but also fosters trust and collaboration. Ignoring nonverbal cues can also lead to miscommunication. Remember, a significant portion of your message is conveyed through body language and tone. Pay attention to these elements, both in your own communication and in others. Additionally, being inflexible in your communication style can create problems. What works in one situation may not be effective in another, so remain adaptable and open to feedback. Adjust your approach based on how your audience is reacting, and don't be afraid to pivot if necessary. By now, you should have a deeper understanding of how crucial effective communication is to persuasion. Combining strong verbal and nonverbal skills equips you with the tools you need to influence and inspire others. Yet, communication is only part of the equation. In the pursuit of mastering persuasion, critical thinking is the next essential skill to explore. It's the ability to challenge assumptions, break down complex ideas, and construct arguments that stand the test of scrutiny. When we engage in persuasion, we often find ourselves at a crossroads, making crucial choices about how to convey our ideas. This encompasses the selection of arguments and the strategies for addressing objections. Having sharp critical thinking skills allows us to maneuver through these choices with greater efficacy. To grasp the essence of critical thinking within the realm of persuasion, it's essential to explore its foundational components. At its core, critical thinking is about analysis and interpretation. This entails dissecting complex ideas into simpler elements and investigating how these elements interconnect. It's essential to look beyond mere appearances and delve into the underlying structure and assumptions of arguments. Inference and explanation are equally vital components of critical thinking. Inference is the process of drawing conclusions grounded in evidence and logical reasoning, while explanation is about clearly expressing our thought processes and conclusions to others. Mastering these skills is fundamental for constructing persuasive arguments that others can grasp and accept. Logical reasoning serves as the backbone of critical thinking. It involves understanding various forms of reasoning, such as deductive reasoning, which moves from general principles to specific conclusions, and inductive reasoning, which derives general conclusions from specific observations. By honing these reasoning techniques, we can formulate arguments that are not only logically sound, but also resilient to refutation. One of the most powerful applications of critical thinking in persuasion is the ability to identify and avoid logical fallacies. These common errors in reasoning can severely undermine otherwise convincing arguments. For instance, the ad hominem fallacy attacks the person presenting an argument instead of addressing the argument itself. Similarly, the straw man fallacy misrepresents an argument to make it easier to discredit, while the slippery slope fallacy posits that a minor initial action will inevitably lead to drastic negative consequences. Recognizing these fallacies not only helps us avoid them in our own arguments, but also enables us to identify flawed reasoning in others' arguments. This enhances our persuasive effectiveness and makes us more resilient against faulty persuasive attempts from others. Another essential aspect of critical thinking is overcoming cognitive biases, systematic errors in our thinking that can distort our judgments and decisions. For example, confirmation bias leads us to prefer information that supports our existing beliefs, while availability bias causes us to overestimate the likelihood of events that come to mind easily. Acknowledging these biases is the first step toward mitigating their influence. By actively seeking out information that challenges our beliefs and consciously considering alternative perspectives, we can diminish the impact of these biases on our reasoning. Critical thinking is also crucial for enhancing our problem-solving abilities. By utilizing creative thinking techniques and structured decision-making frameworks, we can tackle complex problems more effectively. This not only boosts our capacity to generate solutions but also enhances our persuasive skills by equipping us to present well-reasoned solutions to others. To cultivate your critical thinking skills, practice is essential. An effective exercise is to analyze arguments you encounter in various media. Pay close attention to the argument structure, the evidence presented, and any potential logical fallacies or biases. This will sharpen your ability to dissect and evaluate arguments critically. Another beneficial practice is engaging in logical debates. Choose a topic and argue both sides, concentrating on constructing logically sound arguments. This exercise helps you understand how to create robust arguments and anticipate counterarguments. As your critical thinking abilities grow, you'll likely see a progression of outcomes. Initially, you'll enhance your analytical skills, allowing you to break down complex ideas more effectively and evaluate information critically. With continued practice, you'll be able to effortlessly craft compelling arguments. Your persuasive efforts will be backed by solid logic and thorough analysis, making them more effective and difficult to refute. Ultimately, the goal is to attain mastery in critical thinking as it pertains to persuasion. At this level, critical thinking becomes an integral part of your persuasive approach, enabling you to construct powerful arguments, anticipate objections, and navigate complex persuasive scenarios with confidence. However, the journey to mastering critical thinking is fraught with challenges. One common pitfall is allowing personal biases to cloud objective analysis. To counteract this, consistently seek out facts and alternative perspectives, actively challenging your own assumptions. Another potential obstacle is falling into flawed reasoning despite your best intentions. To address this, regularly review the principles of logical reasoning and apply them rigorously to your thought processes. Complexity can also become an issue. In striving for thoroughness, you may create arguments that are too intricate for your audience to grasp. The key lies in finding a balance between depth of analysis and clarity of presentation. Practice simplifying complex ideas without losing their essential meaning. As we wrap up this exploration of critical thinking, you should now possess a deeper understanding of its pivotal role in persuasion. By refining your critical thinking abilities, you arm yourself with a powerful tool for constructing compelling arguments, making sound decisions, and navigating the intricate landscape of ideas and information. Yet, critical thinking, as vital as it is, represents just one piece of the larger puzzle of persuasion. The next topic we will delve into addresses a challenge that every persuader faces, a force that can derail even the most logically sound arguments. Are you prepared to learn how to overcome this invisible barrier that stands between your ideas and your audience's acceptance? Have you ever felt the frustration of presenting a meticulously crafted argument only to be met with skepticism or outright rejection? This scenario is all too familiar, even for the most skilled persuaders. You've conducted your research, fine-tuned your message, and delivered it with poise, yet your audience remains unconvinced. What is happening here? What invisible force stands between your ideas and your audience's willingness to accept them? This barrier, which we all encounter but often struggle to comprehend, is rooted in human psychology. It represents a natural response to persuasion that can hinder even the most well-structured arguments. Understanding this resistance is crucial if you hope to become a more effective persuader. In the intricate dance of persuasion, even the most rational and well-articulated arguments can hit a wall of resistance. This invisible barrier often stems from instinctive pushback that individuals exhibit when faced with attempts to persuade them. Understanding this phenomenon and finding ways to navigate through it is paramount in mastering the art of persuasion. This knowledge not only transforms skepticism into agreement but also strengthens relationships, enhancing your overall persuasive effectiveness. The crux of successful persuasion lies in recognizing that, regardless of how compelling your argument or how charismatic your delivery might be, failure to address and overcome resistance can lead to missed opportunities. The ability to turn doubt into support is a significant advantage. It can mean the difference between a pitch that falls flat and one that resonates, as well as between a stalled negotiation and a fruitful collaboration. When you learn to effectively manage resistance, you gain a critical advantage that enables you to handle challenging conversations with greater finesse. This skill allows you to anticipate objections and respond proactively, thereby increasing your chances of persuasion in all interactions. Perhaps most importantly, adeptly overcoming resistance fosters stronger relationships. When you approach objections with empathy and respect, you signal that you value the other person's perspective. This approach builds trust and mutual understanding, creating a solid foundation for more constructive and productive dialogues in the future. To grasp how to effectively surmount resistance, we first need to explore its underlying causes. Resistance is not arbitrary. It often arises from specific triggers or concerns. These may range from a fear of change and skepticism about claims to perceived threats to autonomy or simple misunderstandings. A key concept to consider is the psychology of reactance, a theory developed by psychologist Jack Brem. This theory posits that when individuals perceive a threat to their freedom of choice, they tend to respond by reasserting their independence, often by rejecting the very suggestion being made. This explains why heavy-handed attempts at persuasion can sometimes backfire, leading to increased resistance instead of compliance. Another important framework for understanding resistance is the Elaboration Likelihood Model, ELM, formulated by Richard Petty and John Cacioppo. According to this model, people process persuasive messages through two distinct routes. The first is the central route, which involves a thorough evaluation of the merits of the message. The second is the peripheral route, which relies on superficial cues, such as the credibility of the messenger or emotional appeal. Grasping which route your audience is likely to follow can help you tailor your approach to more effectively overcome resistance. So how can we begin to dismantle resistance? The journey often starts with building rapport. Establishing common ground and fostering a sense of connection with your audience is crucial. When people feel that you genuinely understand and respect their viewpoint, they are more inclined to be receptive to your ideas. Trust-building strategies play a significant role in this process. This could involve demonstrating your expertise in a non-threatening manner, showing that you genuinely care about the audience's interests, or simply taking the time to listen and comprehend their concerns before diving into your persuasive message. Another essential skill for overcoming resistance is effective objection handling. This begins with truly listening to the other person's concerns. Too often, we make the error of dismissing objections or hastily countering them without fully understanding the underlying issue. By listening actively and empathetically, you can often uncover the root of the resistance and address it more effectively. Once you grasp the objections at hand, the next step is to address these concerns directly. This does not mean arguing aggressively against them, rather, it involves acknowledging them and offering thoughtful, evidence-based responses. The goal is to ensure that the other person feels heard and respected while you work to shift their perspective. Empathy and validation are powerful tools for reducing resistance. By demonstrating that you understand and respect the other person's viewpoint, you can often diffuse defensive reactions and foster a more open dialogue. This doesn't necessitate agreement with their position, it simply requires recognizing its validity from their perspective. Providing evidence and reassurance can also be instrumental in overcoming resistance. This might entail sharing relevant data, expert opinions, or real-life examples that support your stance. The critical point is to present this information in a manner that is relevant and meaningful to your audience, rather than overwhelming them with a barrage of facts and figures. Reframing perspectives is yet another effective technique for overcoming resistance. This involves altering the narrative around your proposal, often by emphasizing benefits over features. Instead of merely detailing what your idea entails, focus on how it can solve the other person's problems, meet their needs, or help them achieve their goals. As you strive to overcome resistance, it's vital to continuously check for agreement and clarify next steps. This practice ensures you are not only addressing objections, but also progressing towards a positive outcome. Ask questions to confirm understanding and agreement, and be explicit about what actions or decisions should follow. To hone your skills in overcoming resistance, practice is essential. role-playing objection scenarios can be a powerful exercise. Enlist a friend or colleague to present common objections to your ideas, allowing you to practice responding with empathy and effectiveness. This preparation can make you more comfortable and adept at handling resistance in real-world situations. Additionally, developing reframing techniques can be beneficial. Take a proposal or idea and practice presenting it from various angles, emphasizing different benefits or addressing diverse concerns. This flexibility will make you more adaptable in your persuasive efforts. As you refine your ability to overcome resistance, you will likely notice a series of progressive outcomes. Initially, you'll become more adept at identifying sources of resistance, developing a sharper intuition for when and why people may push back against your ideas. With continued practice, you will reach a point where you can effectively address objections as they arise, equipped with a toolkit of strategies for managing various forms of resistance. The ultimate objective is to transform resistance into support. At this level, you are not merely overcoming objections, you are facilitating a collaborative dialogue that encourages mutual understanding. Your persuasive efforts become not only more effective but also more impactful, fostering relationships built on trust and respect. In the realm of persuasion, resistance is an unavoidable yet surmountable challenge. By understanding its roots and employing effective strategies to manage it, you can enhance your persuasive skills, build stronger connections, and create lasting agreements. The journey toward mastering these skills is an ongoing process that will enrich your personal and professional interactions. Mastering the art of persuasion isn't merely about formulating arguments or delivering speeches. It's a nuanced skill that revolves around understanding and addressing objections. These objections are not hindrances, rather, they can serve as gateways to deeper understanding and agreement. By leveraging initial skepticism, you can transform opponents into advocates, enhancing the effectiveness of your persuasive efforts. However, the journey to overcoming resistance is fraught with challenges. A frequent pitfall is the instinctive defensiveness that arises when faced with objections. This defensiveness can escalate into a confrontational atmosphere, which often intensifies rather than diminishes resistance. To counter this, cultivate the practice of active listening and empathy. Focus on understanding the other person's perspective instead of preparing your rebuttal. Another common misstep is dismissing or downplaying concerns raised by others. Even if an objection appears trivial or misguided to you, it is significant to the individual voicing it. Approach every concern with empathy and respect, ensuring that you address it comprehensively, regardless of its perceived importance. Using aggressive tactics can backfire when attempting to overcome resistance. If you push too hard or attempt to force agreement, you might provoke reactance, which leads to even greater resistance. The solution lies in adopting a collaborative approach, working together with the other person to address their concerns and uncover mutually beneficial solutions. As we reflect on the complexities of overcoming resistance, it's essential to recognize the underlying motivations behind people's objections. With a clearer understanding of resistance, you'll be equipped to navigate even the most challenging conversations with grace and effectiveness. By mastering these skills, you add an essential tool to your persuasive toolkit, empowering you to foster deeper connections and more fruitful discussions. While overcoming resistance is vital, it represents just one facet of the broader landscape of persuasion. There exists another dimension that can elevate your influence: the quality of leadership. True leadership is not solely about persuasion. It involves inspiring others to embrace a shared vision and to work collaboratively towards common goals. Have you ever pondered why certain individuals can effortlessly rally others around a cause? These leaders can ignite passion and commitment, transforming what once seemed impossible into achievable milestones. This exceptional ability to influence transcends basic persuasion, creating a powerful force that shapes history, drives organizations, and transforms lives. At the heart of effective leadership is the capacity to inspire and motivate. Leadership influence is the pinnacle of persuasive ability. It represents a synergy where the skills of persuasion intersect with the art of leadership. This combination is not only powerful, it can facilitate monumental achievements. So, why is leadership influence essential for mastering persuasion? Primarily, leadership amplifies influence. When you hold a leadership position, your words carry more weight, your actions have more significant repercussions, and your ideas reach a broader audience. By mastering leadership influence, you exponentially increase your persuasive power. Moreover, leadership influence fosters collective action. It's not merely about gaining individual agreement, it's about motivating entire teams or organizations to rally around common objectives. This ability to inspire collective action distinguishes genuine leaders from mere managers or persuaders. Perhaps most crucially, effective leadership influence drives organizational success. When leaders can motivate their teams, they align efforts, navigate obstacles, and achieve results that would be unfeasible through individual endeavors. This capacity makes leadership influence an indispensable skill for anyone seeking to make a significant impact in their field or organization. To truly appreciate leadership influence, we should delve into the theory of transformational leadership. This approach, developed by James McGregor Burns and later expanded by Bernard Bass, focuses on how leaders inspire followers to achieve extraordinary outcomes. Transformational leaders do more than direct, they inspire. They craft a compelling vision of the future and communicate it in a manner that resonates with their followers' values and aspirations. Creating this vision is a fundamental aspect of transformational leadership. It's insufficient to merely possess a goal. Leaders must articulate a vivid picture of what success entails, one that others can envision themselves being part of. This vision should be ambitious yet achievable, inspiring while remaining grounded in reality. However, vision alone cannot sustain leadership. Effective leaders recognize that different circumstances necessitate varied approaches. This is where situational leadership comes into play, a model developed by Paul Hersey and Ken Blanchard. It posits that no single leadership style is universally applicable. Instead, leaders must adapt their methods based on the needs of their teams and the specific demands of the situation. At times, a team may require explicit guidance and close supervision. At others, they may thrive under encouragement and support. In certain scenarios, the most effective action a leader can take is to step back and allow the team to take the lead. The ability to accurately assess the requirements of your team and the situation is paramount to effective leadership. Communication is undeniably a critical skill for any leader. Yet, leadership communication extends beyond mere information delivery. It involves communicating with impact. This means conveying messages in ways that inspire, motivate, and drive action. Factors such as tone, body language, and word choice significantly contribute to the message's effectiveness. Successful leaders harness these elements to reinforce their message and establish an emotional connection with their audience. But perhaps even more vital than speaking is the ability to listen. Great leaders are exceptional listeners. They understand that communication is a two-way street. By genuinely listening to their team, they can gain valuable insights, foster stronger relationships, and make informed decisions. Building high-performance teams is another essential component of leadership influence. This task involves more than assembling talented individuals. It's about cultivating collaboration and creating an environment where every team member feels valued and motivated to contribute their best work. To forge this collaborative spirit, leaders must prioritize trust, respect, and open communication. When team members feel empowered and recognized, they are more likely to invest in the collective goals and strive for excellence. This collective effort, guided by strong leadership, can lead to remarkable outcomes. In summary, mastering the art of persuasion involves understanding and overcoming resistance while also embracing the qualities of effective leadership. By developing both sets of skills, you can enhance your ability to influence and inspire those around you, transforming challenges into opportunities for growth and collaboration. By integrating persuasion and leadership, you create a potent combination that allows you to navigate complex situations, motivate others, and drive positive change. This holistic approach not only amplifies your persuasive power but also fosters a more engaged and committed team, ready to work towards shared goals. Conflict resolution stands as a pivotal skill in the realm of leadership. Disagreements are bound to arise within any team dynamic. However, adept leaders possess the ability to guide these conflicts toward constructive outcomes. They have the unique talent to transform potential points of contention into opportunities for growth and innovation. In today's climate, where trust and leadership is often hard to come by, ethical leadership emerges as a cornerstone of effective influence. Leaders are called not only to articulate ethical standards, but to embody these principles in every aspect of their decision-making and interactions. This commitment involves leading by example, demonstrating integrity, and maintaining high ethical standards. Additionally, cultivating a workplace culture that champions ethical behavior is essential. Ethical conduct should be an expectation rather than an exception. To develop your leadership influence, consistent practice is key. One valuable exercise involves crafting a clear leadership vision. Take time to contemplate the direction you wish to guide your team or organization. What does success look like? What values will steer your decisions along the way? Writing down this vision is not just a formality, it provides clarity and serves as a reference point. Refine this vision and practice articulating it in a way that captivates and motivates others. Another effective strategy is to engage in scenario-based leadership challenges. This involves placing yourself in hypothetical situations, such as team conflicts, difficult decisions, or crises. Consider how you would respond to these scenarios, reflecting on your approach to conflict resolution and decision-making. This practice hones your situational leadership skills and prepares you for real-world challenges. As you refine your leadership influence, you will likely witness a transformation in your outcomes. Initially, you may notice a general improvement in your leadership skills, gaining confidence in your capacity to guide others. With ongoing practice, you may reach a point where you can truly inspire and motivate your team. You will cultivate a shared vision that ignites enthusiasm, driving your team to achieve goals they once deemed unattainable. Ultimately, the aim is to become a recognized influential leader, someone who not only produces results but also fosters transformation within organizations and encourages others to reach their full potential. At this pinnacle of influence, your impact extends beyond your immediate team, shaping your industry or field at large. Yet, the journey to mastering leadership influence is not without obstacles. One common pitfall is rigidity in leadership style. Sticking to a single approach even when circumstances demand flexibility can be detrimental. The antidote is to consciously practice adapting your style to align with varying situations and the needs of your team. Poor communication can also undermine your leadership influence. This issue may surface as unclear messaging, a lack of active listening, or an inability to connect with your team on an emotional level. To counteract these pitfalls, prioritize active listening, clearly articulate your ideas, and develop emotional intelligence in your communications. Moreover, ethical lapses, no matter how minor, can severely diminish a leader's influence. Consistently reinforcing ethical values through both your words and actions is crucial. Remember, as a leader, you are always setting an example. Strive to ensure that your actions reflect the ethical standards you espouse. As we conclude this examination of leadership influence, it's clear that the skills of persuasion can be amplified and transformed within a leadership context. By mastering these skills, you transition from being merely a persuasive individual to a leader who can inspire, motivate, and enact meaningful change. However, leadership influence is just one milestone on the path to mastering persuasion. Now, as we transition to the final exploration of this journey, we will delve into the ultimate frontier of persuasion, a level of skill that transcends specific techniques or contexts. Are you prepared to uncover the secret of those rare individuals who don't merely practice persuasion but embody it in all aspects of their lives? As we reach the concluding chapter of our exploration into the art of persuasion, you might be wondering how to proceed from here. You've gained insights into critical thinking, emotional intelligence, effective communication, overcoming resistance, and even the nuances of leadership influence. Yet the question remains, how do you take these fragments of knowledge and weave them into something greater? How do you elevate your skills from mere knowledge to true mastery? This is where we venture into extraordinary territory, the domain of those exceptional individuals who not only practice persuasion but seamlessly integrate it into their lives. These are the people who appear to influence others effortlessly, navigating social situations with grace and effectiveness. They inspire and motivate, even amidst seemingly insurmountable odds. But the truth behind this level of mastery is that it is far from effortless. Instead, it results from dedicated practice, a commitment to ongoing learning, and a focus on personal growth. It's not merely about accumulating techniques or strategies. It involves embedding the principles of persuasion into the fabric of who you are. This journey toward mastery is ongoing, with no definitive endpoint. With every step you take on this path, you will find yourself achieving previously unimaginable goals. You will unearth new levels of influence, deeper understandings, and heights of personal and professional success. So how does the knowledge you have gained empower you? First and foremost, you now possess enhanced skills in influence and communication. You understand the psychological principles that underpin persuasion, allowing you to craft compelling messages and adapt your approach to diverse audiences and situations. This alone can unlock doors that were once closed to you. More significantly, you have cultivated greater confidence in your interactions. You are equipped to handle difficult conversations, address objections, and inspire others to take action. This confidence will permeate all that you do, making you more persuasive even before you utter a word. Perhaps most importantly, you have developed the ability to pursue your personal goals with greater efficacy. Whether you aim for a promotion, seek to establish a successful business, or strive to effect change within your community, your persuasive abilities will be invaluable in rallying others to your cause and overcoming obstacles along the way. These skills will not only enhance your professional life, they can significantly improve your personal relationships as well. By applying principles of effective communication and emotional intelligence, you will forge stronger connections with others, allowing for a deeper understanding and empathy that leads to meaningful relationships. Furthermore, your heightened persuasive abilities will enable you to collaborate more effectively. You will navigate group dynamics with greater skill, resolve conflicts more effortlessly, and inspire others to contribute their best work. In summary, mastering the art of persuasion requires a commitment to developing essential leadership skills, ethical behavior, and effective communication. As you strive for mastery, remember that it is a continuous journey, one that empowers you to influence, inspire, and create positive change in every area of your life. The journey toward mastering persuasion is a remarkable undertaking that can yield fruitful results in various facets of life. As you hone your persuasive skills, you will find that they can significantly enhance project success, foster harmonious teams, and enrich personal interactions. Consider the complex situations you've encountered, difficult negotiations, tense meetings, or challenging conversations. With the skills you are developing, you are now better prepared to navigate these scenarios with confidence and ease. Rather than relying on force or manipulation, you will inspire others through authentic influence and motivation. The most exciting aspect of this evolution is that as you continue to practice and refine these skills, they will become increasingly effortless. This concept, rooted in the work of psychologist K. Anders Ericsson, highlights the potential of deliberate practice. By integrating persuasive techniques into your daily behavior, they will gradually transform into habits that feel second nature. The true power of mastery lies in the seamlessness of your abilities. As your skills become more automatic, you can shift your focus from the mechanics of persuasion to your overarching goals. This enhanced efficiency will create a virtuous cycle of personal and professional growth, enabling you to achieve results more effortlessly. But how do you begin this transformative journey toward mastery? It starts with recognizing that expertise is not a destination but an ongoing path. In his book Outliers, Malcolm Gladwell popularized the idea that achieving mastery in any field requires approximately 10,000 hours of practice. While the specific number may vary, the underlying principle remains: mastery necessitates dedicated and consistent effort over time. This is where deliberate practice becomes essential. It's not sufficient to mindlessly repeat the same actions. Deliberate practice involves setting specific goals and honing in on particular aspects of your performance. By consistently pushing beyond your comfort zone, you can cultivate the skills needed for effective persuasion. Start by establishing SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. For instance, you might aim to persuade a colleague to endorse your project proposal within the next month. Break this goal down further by identifying the specific skills you need to improve, such as crafting compelling arguments or honing your ability to read nonverbal cues. As you engage in practice, incorporate self-reflection and feedback into your routine. After each persuasive attempt, take time to evaluate what worked well and what areas could be improved. Seek feedback not just on the outcome but also on your approach. This continuous cycle of practice, reflection, and adjustment is crucial for ongoing improvement. Intrinsic motivation plays a vital role in the journey to mastery. While external rewards may offer short-term encouragement, true mastery stems from a deep personal passion and commitment. self-determination theory, developed by psychologists Edward Deci and Richard Ryan, emphasizes that we are most motivated when we feel competent, autonomous, and connected to others. To cultivate intrinsic motivation, align your persuasion goals with your personal values and long-term aspirations. Ask yourself why mastering persuasion is important to you and how it will aid in achieving your broader life goals. By linking your practice to your deeper purpose, you will find the resilience to persist even when faced with challenges. Remember, the path to mastery is a lifelong endeavor. The field of persuasion is ever evolving, with new research and techniques emerging continuously. Commit yourself to lifelong learning. Stay updated with the latest developments, attend workshops and conferences, read widely, and remain open to new ideas and approaches. Embrace challenges as opportunities for growth. Each difficult conversation, complex negotiation, or public speaking opportunity serves as a chance to refine your skills and expand your capabilities. Focus on integrating your persuasion skills into your daily life. Look for opportunities to practice in everyday situations, from discussing weekend plans with friends to presenting ideas in team meetings. By turning persuasion into a habit, you will find yourself improving continuously, often without even realizing it. As you make progress on this journey, remember to measure and celebrate your achievements. Keep a journal of your persuasive efforts and their outcomes, noting how once daunting interactions now feel manageable or even easy. Celebrate each small victory along the way. These milestones are all steps on your path to mastery. As we reach the conclusion of this exploration, let me share a final thought that ties together everything we've discussed and illuminates the road to true mastery in persuasion. The ultimate secret to mastering persuasion is not just about techniques or strategies. It's about evolving into the kind of person who naturally inspires, influences, and leads others. When you achieve this level of mastery, persuasion transforms from a mere action into an intrinsic part of your identity. Your interactions become opportunities to inspire, motivate, and create positive change. You become a force for good, using your influence not for selfish gain, but to make a meaningful difference in the lives of those around you. This is the genuine power of persuasive mastery. It transcends the mere act of achieving goals or winning arguments. It's about becoming a catalyst for positive change, a source of inspiration and motivation for those around you. It's about living a life rich with purpose and impact, where your words and actions have the power to shape the world for the better. As you close this chapter and re-enter your daily life, remember that every interaction presents an opportunity to practice, to grow, and to draw closer to mastery. However, mastering persuasion is just the beginning. To excel further, you must harness the power of logic and critical thinking. These skills form the foundation upon which all effective persuasion is built. Without them, even the most charismatic persuader may falter. Yet, with these tools at your disposal, you can become unstoppable. If you seek to deepen your understanding of persuasion, Further insights await you in the accompanying audiobook, Persuade with Logic, Critical Thinking Skills to Influence and Win. This essential companion will equip you with the tools to construct compelling arguments, identify logical fallacies, and influence others with integrity. Don't allow your newly acquired persuasion skills to go to waste. Amplify them with the power of logic. Tap into this valuable resource and continue your transformative journey toward mastery. Copyright 2024 by AudioBooksTube. Thank you for listening. Please consider to subscribe, like, and share to help the channel growth. New videos on a daily basis.